Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to High Lord Tamerlane and his Obscurities and Miniatures. Today, we're going to take a look at one of my Mantic figures I've had sitting around. This is an Undead Lykanis, and obviously with a name like that, as can be expected, it's a big, giant werewolf. And as far as I know, this is the largest werewolf that Mantic makes. Now, they do have some smaller ones, and when I say smaller, that actually just fit on a 40mm base. So I'm kind of curious about this guy. He's supposed to be the biggest of the bunch, and he is entirely metal, and this package does not want to cooperate with me, so give me a moment as I smash it open. Alright, so after much grunting and grimacing, I did manage to get the thing open, and we are gifted with a 40mm MDF base. Okay, well, that's not a big deal. Let's see what the parts look like. Hopefully I don't lose any in the process. So we've got the main body. Nice, big, pretty well cast. No exposed genitalia if you're into that. Having built far too many Darklands figures, that's something I inevitably have to check, just so in case you want to keep your lycanthropes rated G. So it looks like the tail, the arms, and then a separate head that I am trying to put on. Oh, that looks right. I wish the snout was a little bit longer. It's kind of squished up, the muzzle all kind of smushed up against his face there, but that's okay. Give me a sec, we're going to put him together, and we will see how he compares to some of the other werewolves out there in the wild. Alright, so we've got our Undead Lykanis here built together. Not that it was super complicated. It might require a little bit of filling in the gaps there, especially in the arms. But let's talk about the model itself. First thing, I just got to get it off my chest. Can't stand his mane or his tail. It reminds me of like reptile scales or something, or the frill of an amphibian. It doesn't look like a wolf. Not at all. I don't know what it looks like, but it is what it is. Could chop it up, could file it down, but you know what? I'm gonna probably just leave it the way it is. Let's see how he compares to some of the other wolves I've got. So he's supposed to be a big boss werewolf. So the first thing I did was grab one of my Shadows of Brimstone boss werewolves. And, well, I mean, they look pretty comparable. It's not too small, I guess. We should get a human in there just for sense of scale, because why not? Our typical GW witch hunter there. And I guess he's probably not the fairest comparison because the Mantic Kings of War line tends to be a little bit closer to actual 28mm, whereas I don't know what scale Warhammer's at these days. I know this is an older figure, but even so, probably closer to 30mm. Despite that, our Undead Lykanis here, he is very hunched over. Looking at that base, and I'm wondering, you know what, I've got a 50mm Wrath of Kings one here. Let's see, would he fit on that? Let's just reverse it for now. Yeah, he fills that pretty comfortably. In fact, I think that's a lot less cramped than the actual 40mm base that he's on. So if I end up putting him on a circle, I probably would go for a 50mm rather than a 40. I grabbed a couple of Wrath of Kings wolves just to get a better sense, because as you've noticed, I've got a thing for the wolves, and my hope is to do Kings of War Vanguard with nothing but wolves in lieu of ogres. So we'll see how that works. So here is a generic, I don't know if he's generic, I believe he's actually a character model, but just to get a good sense of scale. So the wolves for Wrath of Kings are quite large, but for both being hunched over, I mean, our Undead Lykanis friend here gives our Garitzi Bladesman a pretty good run for the money. Shieldbreaker, on the other hand, is just a really big model as it is. So I don't know if he's the most apt comparison. I did grab a unfinished earlier model that, yeah, he's just ignore the paint on him because it's bad. He's been languishing in painting hell for some time, but you can see there. Again, while this one's a bit more upright, this guy's got a lot more base presence. He takes up a lot more real estate on the base, despite being hunched over like that. In case anybody's curious how a Marine would compare, I guess I'm going to have to grab me some Mantic guys. I don't really have any anymore. Oh, silly me, I've got all my Kings of War Vanguard stuff. I'll have to get that out one of these days, and we'll compare them as well. Now, sadly, compared to my big Legendarian Berserker. Yeah. Poor Lykanis. You're just really outclassed with that guy. And sadly, he's almost in scale with all the other wolves we've got laying around. So, overall, I actually like this figure despite the weird tail shape and his amphibian frill mane that he's got going on there. And for an undead Lykanis, well, I know what the undead connotation makes me think he should have like an exposed rib cage or something, but nope, doesn't have anything like that going on. And I know the werewolves are supposed to be aligned in Kings of War with the undead. I keep thinking there is the herd or whatever they're called, forces of nature or something like that. You Kings of War players will have to correct me, but they can run wolf people and animal people. So that's a good option if you want big burly things like that. So, with that said, overall a good model. I'm happy at the price I paid for it. I got it for a lot less than retail because I traded a dude for some painted stuff and he gave me a big pile of interesting things that I've had to work my way through. So, I'm not complaining. Looking at Mantic's MSRP, if I could get it cheaper, I probably would. Overall, nice figure, decent casting quality, and I've had some real issues with Mantic stuff. The pieces fit together well, nicely keyed up. Didn't require a lot of swearing and cursing on my part to actually build him. And you get a cool looking werewolf model in the end. If this guy's supposed to be the biggest, that really makes me wonder just how large or small the regular Mantic werewolves are. We'll have to give them a look one of these days. So with that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane playing with bases and obscurities and miniatures saying see you later. Bye-bye.